And I guess we're ready to go. Well, let me welcome everyone officially. Good evening. My name is Lowell Kern. I'm the chair of Manhattan Community Board 4, and welcome to our Small Business Support and Reopening Forum. Back in March, when the pandemic first hit and Governor Cuomo shut everything down in New York City, there were a number of forums that were held in late March and early April by other community boards and by elected officials about how to navigate the shutdown. But nobody was doing anything, I realized, in early June about reopening. And so I asked the chair of our small business working group, Bert Lazarin, to reform his working group and try and see what we could do to help out the small business community in our neighborhoods, Chelsea, Hudson Yards, Hell's Kitchen, and citywide. The task force met throughout, working group, not a task force, met throughout June and July, which resulted in this evening's forum. The focus is to better understand what resources and initiatives are currently available for supporting small businesses as they reopen, and to highlight what needs improvement. I know we have some representatives of our elected officials on. I saw a couple of names. I saw someone from Senator Hoylman's office. Hi, Maya. So they will be aware of what the small business community needs as well. And if legislation is needed, we can help push that through, at least try to push that through. Along with tonight's event, we are going to be distributing a survey. The information for the survey will be listed in the chat and on the CB4 website, which you can find very easily at mcb4.nyc. That URL will bounce you over to the official site. The event and the survey, however, are not the end of this working group's work, but will rather act as a roadmap for what will be recommended to the board and the elected representatives. And if there are more actions that we can take as a community board to support small businesses, we will do that. I want to thank Bert and the rest of the group for holding the meetings and putting together tonight's forum. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to our district manager, Jesse Bodine, to explain tonight's agenda and how the event will run. Jesse, it's all yours.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jesse Bodine, District Manager of Manhattan Community Board 4. This forum is being recorded and transcribed and streamed live on our YouTube channel. It'll run as follows. We ask that everybody, besides the speaker or the presenter, stay muted throughout the meeting. And when you're called on, you'll be able to unmute yourself. Once you're done speaking, please remute yourself so therefore any background noise doesn't interfere with the next presenter. This is in webinar format, so the only people that you'll be seeing on the screen are the panelists. The public are in attendee mode. And attendees are able to submit questions through the Q&A tab to the panelists, which is or by raising your hand, your virtual hand, in the participant section. The Q&A tab is on the bottom of your screen, and the your virtual hand raising function is under the panelist section. If you're by chance calling in through the phone line, that you want to do *9 for raising your hand, as you will not be able to type in a question through the Q&A. The agenda goes as follows. Introductions by Lowell Kern, Manhattan Community Board Chair. Review of agenda and forum format by District Manager. A brief presentation by NYC Small Business Services, followed by another brief presentation by Business Improvement District Association. Then there'll be a panel moderated by Bert Lazarin, and then a public Q&A portion of the event, then handed back to Bert for action items and thank yous. Attendees are welcome to begin placing questions into the Q&A section by pressing the Q&A tab at the bottom of their screen. As they roll in, Chris LeBron and Dolores Rubin from our board will be putting those together and getting ready for the Q&A portion. The chat function should be used for disseminating information out to the public and should not be used to ask questions of the panel. That should be done in the Q&A, and should definitely not be used to express any hostile or offensive commentary. If that is done, we will provide a warning. If it continues, we'll have to remove that person. Like Chair Lowell Kern stated, the focus of this forum is to better understand what the resources and initiatives are currently available for supporting small businesses while they reopen, and highlight the gaps in support. But however, we are very much aware of the recent increase in quality of life and public safety issues in the district. So while it is not the focus of this forum today, we want to make sure that this is one of the, if this is one of the reasons you're attending the forum, you have some resources available now. For any non-NYPD related city service needs, such as sanitation, transportation, consumer affairs, Department of Environmental Protection, you can contact me at my email. I'll put it in the chat. It's jbodine, B-O-D-I-N-E, @cb.nyc.gov. For any NYPD or crime-related concerns, we always recommend that you attend your precinct's community council meeting, and also make contact with your precinct's neighborhood coordination officer supervisor. I will be posting the link to the NYPD precinct map website, which gives you all of that information. If you are currently having difficulty getting a response from one of your precincts, I can help with you connect you with the right contact at the precinct. So I'll be putting those both in the chat. And with that, I hand that over to Small Business Services for their brief presentation, followed by the NYC Bid Association.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you to Community Board 4 and my fellow panelists for having me here this evening. My name is Eric Parker, and I'm an outreach liaison with the Department of Small Business Services. Excuse me. I have a short presentation, and after which time I will take questions if you have them pertaining to your business. If you currently reopened or you're in the process of reopening, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have. Jesse, do you have the PowerPoint up?
I do. Give me one moment. I just realized
Sure.
I'm on the wrong screen. Sorry, I apologize.
How's everyone doing tonight? I hope everyone is well and safe. Very good. Okay, there we go. Okay, again, my name is Eric Parker, and I am an outreach liaison with the Department of Small Business Services. My team is responsible for promoting and marketing the programs that we have at SBS, which includes over 50 services and programs offered to small, startup, and operating businesses. Since the onset of COVID, you can go back to the beginning. Yeah. Since the onset of the COVID and the quarantine, we have transitioned to a remote access, and we will providing remote services to small businesses. Next slide, please. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the services that we are still providing here at SBS. First of all, we are the Department of Small Business Services, and we provide assistance to job seekers looking for work, as well as small businesses who want to start and operate a business. And we also support neighborhoods throughout the 5 boroughs. So in all aspects of economic development, SBS is there to help individuals, small businesses, as well as neighborhoods. I'm going to go over some of the briefly some of the programs that we're offering at SBS, or we are continuing to offer at SBS since we transitioned to a remote access. We are still providing business course assistance more now than ever. Since the onset of COVID, many small businesses were not prepared to start an online presence. So we're providing training in that area for those businesses who were not up to speed on marketing their businesses online. We continue to provide financing assistance aside from the assistance that was being provided by the SBA, which is the Small Business Administration, not to be confused with SBS. We were helping to promote the PPP program as well as the EIDL loan program. But we also continue relationships with over 40 micro lenders to help those small businesses get the financing they need to restart, open, and expand. In the area of recruitment, we got an exorbitant number of requests from small businesses who were looking for skilled staff. Our Workforce One centers are still working remotely to help place over 1,600 jobs in the last few weeks to over 160 small businesses that are reopening. So in that area, we're still working to provide assistance to those small businesses that are reopening who need staffing. In the area of government navigation, we understand that some of the other city agencies, our partner agencies, have changed. They have gone to remote access as well, and some of their rules and regulations have shifted a little. And some.
Eric, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to. You're breaking up a lot. I wasn't sure if other folks are hearing or having the same problem.
I'm sorry. Is it better now? I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
How's it sound now?
Yeah, it sounds like the sound's a little bit better, but you might want to just slow down a little bit too.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's
I'm
okay.
sorry. Yeah, I've been having some glitches with my sound system, but I will try to slow down and be more. Yeah. Okay. So again, so we have been partnering with other regulatory agencies in providing assistance to small businesses in a number of different areas when it comes to navigating through the government process. We are also providing information for small businesses that want to sell to government. Contract opportunities are more than ever now available to small businesses that are looking to do business with the city of New York. Next slide, please. So as information is changing very rapidly, you can text COVID to 692-692 for up-to-date information as things are changing, or you can go to our website, nyc.gov/COVID-19biz, to get a full list of all the services that we are offering at SBS. For information or assistance on getting health guidelines, you can go to the Department of Health's website, which is nyc.gov/coronavirus. Next slide, please. During the phased rollout reopenings, we were hosting a string of webinars for specific phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 businesses. Many businesses have signed on to our webinars to get guidance on best practices to reopening safely. The state, of course, has rolled out some guidelines in each business sector, some safety tips, mandatory tips to opening your business safely. So in the last few weeks, we were hosting phase 1, 2, and 3 workshops. In fact, 2 weeks ago, we held one for the personal care industry, and we had a very good turnout there. Lots of nail salons and beauty salons and other kinds of personal care industry businesses were on line and got guidance from us as well as from the state. Okay, so we will continue to roll out phase reopening webinars. We will continue to host resource fairs where we get partner agencies to join us to provide up-to-date information on the services that SBS is providing, as well as the other city agencies. I have a colleague here with me tonight. Michael, are you here?
Good evening. This is Michael Fong from SBS.
Okay,
pleasure to join you all this evening.
Okay, Mikey, I'll finish up in 2 seconds. Next slide. Just want to make sure you were on board. Yeah. Okay. So again, I can't stress enough the importance of following safety tips, which includes social distancing, of course, personal protective PPE is very important to keep your business safeguarded from the spread of coronavirus. Health screens, as well as hygiene and communications. We're stressing those points when small businesses start to transition to reopening. If you need assistance from any of our representatives, we have launched a hotline. Michael Fong is a representative from our hotline. He's also one of our compliance advisors, and he's going to talk a little bit about some of the services that SBS is doing. Michael, you take it away. Next slide.
All right, so thank you, Eric. So again, thank you all for inviting me to join this webinar meeting. My name is Michael Fong. I'm actually the Director of Compliance and Growth from SBS. So thank you, Eric, for the introduction. So what happened during the pandemic is that we have adapted to a new program, which is the SBS hotline. So this hotline is primarily designated to answer business owners' questions when it comes to reopening, as well as the PPE, financing assistance, legal assistance, as well as recruitment. So we have broken down into these 5 categories. So these are the primary questions that oftentimes when business owners are calling, they try to ask us for questions. So going to the financial assistance. So people are trying, in the past, try to apply for different programs and they struggle to get the loans and grants. So we SBS also has a business solution center where we refer these businesses to speak with any financial experts. In order to do that, they have to go onto our website to sign up or to fill out the work form so that the financial expert will be reaching out to them. That's one of the main questions that coming from the business owner. The second question is, second category that we come across will be the reopening guideline. So there are still currently some businesses that are not allowed to open as of this moment. For example, restaurant businesses are still currently allowed to offer delivery, dining. Dining is not allowed except they apply for open restaurant seating programs through DOT. I also am in charge of the program in terms of offering virtual consultation for these businesses who try to stay in compliance when it comes to open restaurant seating program. So that's another service that we offer. The consultation is done virtually. We also have a team of compliance advisor who can speak multiple language. I personally speak 3 different Chinese dialects with my other team who also speak Russian, Spanish, and Haitian Creole. So this is another service that I would like to introduce to you guys, which came live since last week. And also when it comes to legal assistance, just so let you know that small business services used to offer commercial lease assistance program. However, due to the big budget constraint, it's no longer offer commercial lease assistance. However, SBS is able to connect business owner to nonprofit organizations such as City Bar Justice Centers, as well as Legal Aid Society. So when business owners are seeking for help when it comes to dispute between the commercial landlord and the tenant, we oftentimes refer them to these 2 organizations. When it comes to PPE, which specifically face covering, we also have an interactive map which allow business owner to look through their map to identify the nearest business improvement district location for face covering. Our city government also maintain a website which allows business owner to access in terms of cleaning supplies, sanitizer, and other equipment. So there is a website available, and I will be more than happy to share that information with you all. Also, SBS also has the Workforce One Center, which allows employers to seek for qualified employees, or if there are any workers who are seeking for job opportunity, they can actually reach out to us. And it is available on our SBS website where they can access that information. So these are the main categories that oftentimes our hotline group team are mainly handling these questions from business owner on daily basis. So with that said, I'm going to take a pause here. And Eric, if you have any comments or anything you'd like to add, feel free to do so.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. Just want to give you the hotline number. If you have any questions about the services mentioned tonight, you can certainly contact our hotline, which is 888-SBS4NYC. Any questions you have pertaining to any of the services or programs we spoke about tonight, and we'll be happy to take any questions you may have.
Eric, I think we'll hold on questions for the panel discussion and then the Q&A at the end, if that's okay.
Very good.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I'll move on to the New York City Bid Association.
Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you. I believe everybody can hear you.
Okay, good. I'm Bob Benfato. I'm the president of the Hudson Yards Hell's Kitchen Alliance, which is a bid. And it's in the Hudson Yards Hell's Kitchen area between 42nd and 30th Street, roughly speaking, from 9th Avenue, both sides of 9th to the north side, the east side of 11th. which includes primarily Hudson Yards and I guess the southern tip portion of Hell's Kitchen. But bids do a lot of, work with businesses and in areas. We do a lot of, we in Tanner Park, we do a lot of work on sanitation, supplemental sanitation work, but we have a contract of SBS, New York City SBS. So one of the things we don't do as an individual bid is advocate or lobby, but there is a bid association of all 76 bids in all 5 boroughs that represent about 93,000 businesses. And the association does advocate and lobby for things. And I happen to be one of the co-chairs of the association, along with a woman, Jennifer Tausick, who is the head of the Jerome Gun Hill bid in North Bronx. Recently, we issued out a statement from the Bid Association on ways to go forward to help small businesses and the city's economy. And there's 9 pieces to it. I guess you can go to the next slide. Yeah, that's in a nutshell the 9. The first one is to have some person, instead of having all the different agencies working separately on some of the same things, that have one person overseeing the thing who can cull all the stuff together, and you can have more of a streamlined leadership. The second piece is to have some sort of rent and mortgage relief to the commercial corridors. We don't really give a recommendation on what. We suggest public funding, mediation, eviction moratorias, rent and tax relief, and it's more to open up a discussion going forward. It's a touchy issue because the city of New York needs real estate taxes because that's pretty much what funds the city budget, so it's a tough issue. The third one is we want to expand the open restaurants. Not so much just because it's all restaurants now. We want to expand to other retail, to let other retail go out and maybe set up in front of their stores things that they could sell. And you would need to allow that. You have to go deal with the stoop law of the city because you're not supposed to sell and exchange money outside of the store like that. And you'd have to get, if you did do it right now, it's like $3,200 a day in permitting fees you'd have to give the city. So we would want to see that rate waived. The fourth one, as you can see there, is that maintain existing siting criteria for mobile vendors and enforce current regulations. The problem with vending right now is that City of New York took the NYPD off of regulating vending. And when the vending thing was first started, NYPD was never supposed to actually enforce the rules and regulations. It just ended up going that way. Under the city code, all vending goes through consumer affairs unless it's food, and then it goes through health. And those are the agencies that give you your permit. And as a result, those are the agencies that have the power of enforcement. So you don't necessarily need the police. You could just have an enforcement unit in consumer affairs or in the health department doing the job also. As of right now, no one's doing it. The police were told not to do it, and no one is empowered, or they have the power. No one's told them to go out and enforce it. So we don't have a negative effect on it yet because for the same reason why restaurants are hurting, there's not a lot of people on the street buying street food or buying stuff, but it will become an issue when and if we start to get back to larger numbers that are walking around the street buying things. The fifth one, probably not exactly a favorite one for a community board, is to streamline the straight liquor authority process to make it easier to get your liquor license. And to also allow some more temporary licenses for people who want to do stuff outside if they get approval from the city. The sixth one is to activate a sales tax exemption. It's similar to like the clothing one they have when you go back to school up to a certain amount. There's no sales tax on it. That would be for the state to do. It wouldn't be the city. The state would have to do that. We hope to push that actually in late August, when the federal government, as we know now, is negotiating between the two parties as to what type of stimulus package they'll put together. When that's done and the state sees how much money it gets, the state will probably regroup and meet again legislatively up in Albany. It'll probably be the end of August, early September. And that would be the time we would start pushing that. And the seventh one is the city should support nonprofit organizations who want to create markets and pop-up venues. Primarily, we're looking to do that in parks or in plazas. Those are city properties, and If there's any revenue involved in that, normally you'd have to go through FCRC, the Franchise Commission, which I did for my job, and it took 2 years, or you have to pay a large sum to SAPOS. So we don't have to do that. Do something more like weekend walks, and you allow certain activities in parks and plazas that you normally wouldn't be on a temporary basis. The eighth part is make patrons responsible for their own actions and not the business owner. There was I think that's the State Liquor Authority announced that if anyone is found with a drink within 100 feet of a restaurant, they were going to fine the restaurant for it. But there was no guarantee that he got the drink from the restaurant. He was 100 feet away. He could have got it someplace else. So we wanted to try and make it so that patrons are responsible too for their actions. And the ninth is our usual continue, review, and revise outdated and burdensome rules and laws. I know a ton of bid execs that can talk you forever on which rules and should be revised, but we won't have to get into that, but just trying to look to ease the regulatory burden on small businesses. And that was our statement. We got some decent press coverage, we even got a Daily News op-ed out of it. And you don't have to like all 9, but I hope people like some of it. I'm happy to answer any questions and look forward to the panel. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Bob and Eric. And now I invite you to join the full panel, all 6. And any questions will be coming to the panel, both from, we have some prepared questions. I think you might have seen some of them. And then we'll have some Q&A that Dolores and Chris are coordinating. You've all met Bob, you've all met Eric. We now have 4 other panelists. I'd like to introduce Wendy Gonzalez. I'd say where she is on my screen, but I have no idea if she's in the same location on your screen. So I'm not going to mention where I see her. But you can raise your hand, Wendy. I think you just did. Wendy Gonzalez is the Small Business Marketing Manager for Google. She's been with Google for 10 years. She's also on the board of the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce. And we're lucky to have her on Manhattan Community Board 4. We also have Nathaniel Garber. There he is. He is in the family business, Garber's Hardware. It's in Chelsea. It was not originally, it was in the Village. It's been around for 5 generations, family owned. That's an amazing history there, to have a family business for 5 generations, because most family businesses, usually after the 3rd, they implode. The siblings can't get along. We also have Maya Joseph from Sullivan Street Bakery. She's a co-owner of the Sullivan Street Bakery, which we're lucky in our community board district to have 2 locations, one in Hell's Kitchen and one in Chelsea. And then we also have for our 6th is the co-owner of the Chris Chase Hair Salon, Mitch. Where are you, Mitch? There he is. There he is, raising his hand. He's almost been 30 years. He lives and works in Chelsea, and with the hair salon, which is also Chelsea, 9th Avenue, between 21st and 22nd. I want to welcome you all. In terms of the panel, we're going to throw out some questions. Remember, our focus here is on reopening during this, at least in New York, at least at this time of year, the waning of the pandemic. We don't know what November is going to be like. We only can talk about now. I'm going to say self-regulate. We're only 6. Just don't talk over each other, respect each other, and we can go from there. I just like to start how this reopening is going. What are the biggest challenges you have of small businesses? What are the biggest challenges you have in reopening? What are the challenges you might see coming up that you haven't yet met? And I just want to remind you, I hope it's the last time I'll have to remind you, when you start speaking, unmute. Go for it.
I can start. Challenges. Well, as we know, businesses have many challenges during this reopening phase, but I think one of the biggest challenges that they're facing now is the limitation on occupancy. As we know, small businesses in the city of New York really thrive on high occupancy, customers coming into their place of business in order to realize the profit, right, to meet those margins. And I think the limitation on the number of people that can actually come into a business at any given time is going to really be a hindrance to businesses realizing a profit going forward. In the near future, I think even when these regulations start to lighten up and lift, I think public's confidence in gathering in the public is going to still linger, and we're really kind of concerned about that aspect. And so for that reason, I think we're trying to do the best we can to educate small businesses early on taking those safety precautions to really flattening the curve and keeping the levels down of the COVID-19 virus.
I think what point you're raising, Eric, is very important because most street businesses, small businesses at street level, retail, restaurant, bar, those kinds of businesses depend upon densities of pedestrians, density of people around. And the model that most small businesses have had in New York is based on that model. And now we're all confronted with something different. How does that work, like with a bakery, Maya?
Well, we see it in two different ways at the bakery because we have two retail businesses, but the majority of our business is wholesale. So in the retail business, we still have a relatively high volume of people coming in, but now we're turned into policemen, which is really, really stressful because we are suddenly responsible for making sure that there's only a few people in the store at a time, that everyone's wearing a mask, that everyone's socially distant, that everyone's actually wearing their mask correctly, which is incredibly difficult for a lot of people. And that act of policing throughout the day is really difficult. On the whole, sorry, go ahead.
So this is one of the challenges we're facing. I saw, Nathaniel, you were shaking your head, yes.
Yeah, it's, so, my business is essential. So, fortunately, we were not forced to close at all. Although the first couple of months of this, it was, a ghost town. But I can say that throughout this entire process, from the beginning when there were only a handful of people and up till today, Maya is 100% spot on. It's it's so stressful. And on top of just dealing with clients, we all have employees that are on the spectrum of how paranoid they are about contracting the virus themselves. It's hard to give customer service when you have to be confrontational to every third person that's coming in, not wearing the mask. And then sometimes clients will have issues with how I'm wearing a mask or how one of my colleagues is wearing a mask. It's very fraught, to say the least. You want your people are going to spend money if they're comfortable. I may have someone in the store that we're comfortable with each other, but we don't know who's going to walk in the door at the next moment. And like I said, people are all over the map on this. And I think New Yorkers, for the most part, are respectful about doing it, but they don't have the habit down yet. I mean, I've seen people walk into my store wearing a mask just to take it off to like breathe in the cool recycled air from the air conditioning, which I fully get the instinct to do that, but then you just shake your head. Or I've had someone pull their mask down to sneeze. I mean, what do? Do you just let it go? And then they put their mask right back on. But it's real tricky and it's unprecedented. And I can't imagine any of my fellow panelists have any answers, but I'm sure you all share that experience.
Mitch, you have a business with more than Maya or Nathaniel. We have very intimate contact with your customers.
Yeah, mine might be a little different in that mine's by appointment only. So I don't have just random people, coming in to shop really. So they're all told ahead of time, every bit of the regulations. So they come knowing they're getting their temperature taken, I'm asking all the standard questions. So it's a little different than having just a straight up retail store. Yeah, so the policing part of it is literally asking the gentleman the questions, taking the temperature, and having them wait until when it's time. So I'm a little different. I've been a little, I don't know. It's just a different kind of a setup than you guys have as far as retail goes. I have very little, or probably no, just walk-in, business. People just walk in to get a haircut or get their hair colored. It's a more hands-on thing. So.
Yeah.
I haven't had as much of the policing or that being an issue. I've had more of an issue of people just being not just scared, just fear of of being that close to somebody and having someone touching their hair. So, but that'll again, hopefully we'll get to a point where that'll pass and that'll so yeah.
This is a major challenge of how to navigate the new businesses, new health, self-imposed health regs. Wendy, have you come across any of this with people that you're in contact with?
What I've heard from other small businesses, some of the same, what the other panelists have talked about. I think there's also just a general confusion. So I think with regulations changing, I think also regulations are different city to city, state to state. There's just general confusion. So what we at Google talks a lot about is just the importance of communicating to your customers and over communicating to your customers. So what's on your website, what is on your social media, what's on your business profile on Google about the expectations you have for customers coming into the store. It's not a perfect system, but at least you can do some of that expectation setting right from the start so that you have maybe fewer surprises and can have fewer of those kind of policing moments that some of the other panelists have talked about.
Mm-hmm. Bob?
Yeah, it's one of the bigger complaints we get from the businesses in my bid district about having to police behavior of the patrons, some of whom don't behave well. I know that other bids have the problem when they do outdoor dining and they do out in the street, they close the street. You can't close the street at 10 o'clock if you want to because people will not go home. They have a lot of problems with that. So yes, the self-policing is a big issue.
So that's a major challenge in opening up and maintaining the business as you go forward. Any other challenges or anything you see as you going along that might be coming up on the horizon?
Well, we never closed. We've been open the whole time. So we've just been continually expanding slowly, but now we're at a place where we're wondering if we're going to have to close again. So it seems like everything we do is we look one way and say, well, we could expand this way, and then we have to look the other way and say, or we could just have to shut everything down in a month. And it would be really helpful to have some kind of guidance about if there is another shutdown, what it would look like and how we could plan for that.
Yeah, that sort of slides right into my next question about resources and services provided by the city and the state. I mean, what are you finding from the city and the state, or from the bids, or from other private groups like Chamber of Commerce? Are you finding them resources, or would you like more from them, from the city, the state, the other agencies? You talk about guidance.
I was able to get some good guidance from the Chelsea, Village Chelsea Chamber of Commerce. When I had legal questions, especially when came down to all the different loans that the SBA was putting out, can I apply for this and that? What if I get approved for this and that? It was really helpful to be able to, call someone knowledgeable, and they directed me to 2 different people. I sent a couple emails. I mean, within a couple of days, I had the answers to all my questions. Thumbs up for that. That was great. And of course, funding is always nice, but in this situation is so much bigger than the money that I've seen available, like from the federal level down, although every dollar is appreciated. I mean, the rents we all pay the kind of density we need to, to break even, it's extensive. And like the real estate in the city, like is already maxed out to squeeze every one of those dollars right out to, to property owners and the people that own the leases. So it's certainly a challenge. So like the money does help, but when that PPP came out, even the division of where funds are allowed to go, I mean, every New York business owner, scoffed at like, oh, great, like 40% probably wouldn't even cover a month's rent. And that's where you need the help. If you're going to stay open, pay your employees, you need to be able to maintain, your core expenses, of which rent, I'm sure, is number one.
Yeah, that brings up a core issue, I think, for small businesses. Rent, lease, a mortgage if you own your own space. Have you, the three of you who have your own businesses right up front, or Wendy or Bob or Eric, have you heard about modified leases, modified rents, going into renegotiating, saying, this is the way it's going now. Our lease was based on the density a year ago, and now we don't have it anymore. Has anything changed between you and your landlords?
I know on the bid side, a lot of landlords have been renegotiating leases. Some of them also have been terrible, but the vast majority have been renegotiating, especially in the commercial thing, because if they throw a tenant out, it's not getting replaced by anyone anytime soon. So it's more in his interest or her interest to cut a deal. So what can you give me? And then it is just to leave the place by itself, because they're not going to find anyone to rent it to at this moment.
We've had good experiences and also have heard that there are landlords willing to negotiate, which has been helpful, both for us and for our wholesale customers that are restaurants and need to renegotiate with their landlords to survive. One of our bakeries, we own the property, so we need to negotiate with the city of New York because one of our single biggest operating expense right now is property taxes.
How do you negotiate over property taxes?
Well, we don't, but in terms of things that would help, that's the thing that would help the most, Our sales levels are down by 1/6 from their normal amounts, and our fixed costs are not.
That property tax issue would help, I think, most of us, because one of my stores, the property taxes are up, like from my most recent lease signing, property taxes are up, I don't know, like 30 or 40%. I mean, my property tax liability in that lease is more than 1 month's rent. And that's for our West Village location, which is probably the most per square foot, in the city. And it's outrageous, like if the city wasn't so dependent on property taxes revenue, they could maybe offer a rebate to the landowner, that to the property owner, in the event that they say have to pass on the savings directly to the tenant. Like maybe the city should be rolling back their tax base to the year that leases were signed, so that renters aren't paying the differential, which is the boilerplate in just about every commercial lease. But the differential we pay is outrageous. And that's not the landlord, that's the city steadily raising this property taxes on that particular property every year since 2015. So that would work for all of us.
Open needs might be some kind of property tax. I don't know what the word would be, not a rebate, property tax, temporary reduction, change in valuation, because correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of that increase in the property tax is not from the property tax rate necessarily, it's from the valuation of the building. And that valuation of the building is where your increase shows. And now the buildings aren't as valuable, I'm making the argument, the buildings aren't as valuable because your business is less than it was before.
You're talking about an abatement.
An abatement, thank you, Bob. Is that one of your 9?
No, but we wouldn't be opposed to a tax abatement.
What do you, go ahead, Wendy. Oh, was that Maya? I'm sorry. Who was about to?
But Wendy, if you have something to say.
No, go for it, Maya.
If the city were willing to work with small businesses that are also property owners or the landlords to small businesses on property tax issues, that would be really, really helpful.
Yeah, 100% agree.
This is a major issue here.
I think a lot of this is going to rest on the funding the state gets, because I saw today and then on Gothamist that Cuomo said, or has basically like threatened to raise state property taxes statewide. I don't know how that affects the city, you know, of what relief the city can give on their end, but it, you know, I don't know, it might be moot. But it would be the single, like in a broad stroke, the city could do a lot to help every single business in the city if there was some kind of blanket abatement or task force to deal with just that issue.
Other than taxes, which is major, are there other impediments to fully open that you're coming across because of city or state regs?
The enforcement of outside dining is making a lot of our wholesale customers really nervous because there are a lot of good operators out there and there are a lot of bad operators, you know, and people are going crazy outside their restaurants. And so all restaurants feel the threat of an imminent closure from the governor. And that's, for restaurant operators, terrifying because that's all they have right now. If they have that.
And you did say you have primarily now a wholesale business, not a walk-in retail.
Well, we've always had both, but the majority, like 95% of our business is wholesale, generally. Right now, most of our customers aren't open, and the ones that are doing, you know, 10th maybe of the business they were before. And all of that is outside dining, almost all of it.
Mm-hmm. Mitch, I'm sorry.
It feels to those of us who are out on dealing with the outside dining stuff that there just isn't a lot of enforcement. Like we're missing that from the city, from the state, from anybody.
Do you mean enforcement on the way patrons interact and gather in clumps, or on like the structures that? Because I understand from
the structures,
not the structures. I've heard a lot. There's a lot of enforcement on structures.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Thinking like Mitch, do you have any interaction with health department in terms of a salon and haircutting or anything like that?
You know, we haven't yet, and honestly, I wouldn't mind if someone did come through, just to make sure. Like I'm doing everything that .gov, NYC.gov says to do, but you know, there's been no one's come in. No one's had any kind of, right now I've heard of other salons where people have come in, but not from the city or not from the state or whatever, that, and have reported salons not doing a proper job, which that's just self-regulatory, I guess. But I've had no one come through from the health department or anything like that. So I hope I'm doing all I need to do. But I don't know. I hope maybe someone will come in.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't done any outdoor. We have had clients ask if we can do outdoor styling and coloring, and it's just, we're not doing that. But I can see where some people are too scared to come back in. So
that was one of your 9 requests, Bob, if I remember, that not only should restaurants be permitted to do business outside, but retail. And I never even thought, but Mitch, you just suggested getting my haircut done on the street. But I can understand, yes, you might be afraid to go inside.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's tough to cut hair and do color like that outside. If there's a slight breeze, it's kind of a mess. So, but yeah.
Yeah, you know, Going back to the business model we referred to before, built on pedestrian density and people walking in off the street. So your customer base in some ways is changing. And it may not be changed only for these couple of months. It may be for the next 2 years, 3 years. People may be afraid to walk in to get their hair cut, but people may be afraid to be in any kind of environment where there's more than 1 or 2 people. How have you changed your marketing, and are you doing more stuff online, or how are you changing your model and who you're looking to as customers? And Wendy and Bob, you have many business interactions. Have you heard, or Eric?
Yeah, I can briefly jump in here. So we've seen a ton of creativity in how businesses have responded. A couple of the things that we've seen kind of across the board. One is reliance, obviously, on digital tools, but specifically video becoming more and more important. So a lot of businesses where you required kind of a one-on-one kind of consultation, so even things like personal training, right, which is such an in-person kind of business. We've seen that shift to video online. On Google, we've actually now added a way on your business profile on Google, which is just what shows kind of your local business information. You can now, as a business owner, add a direct link to have people sign up to do those kind of virtual classes or consultations, whatever it may be, with you to rely on video. We've also seen people do creative things by relying on gift cards and making that easier. So you can also add a direct link to buying a gift card or to a GoFundMe, things like that. We also just see businesses doing interesting things like moving entire classes, even for kids, online, things like that. And then, of course, like doing more to create appointments time. So if you still require something where someone's coming in, whether it's a salon or whatnot, to make it very, very clear that you don't accept walk-ins at this time, which means communicating that online and making it easy for people to then sign up for appointment time. All of that, we've seen lots of small businesses across the country doing, and we've developed some additional tools to kind of make that a little easier as well.
That's a lot.
The creativity has been amazing, at a very, very challenging time. It's been really inspiring to see what businesses are doing. And then as we now look forward and we're seeing these different phases of reopening, I'm very curious to hear what my other panelists have said that they've done, personally for their businesses, or what they'd like to do, because I think that's what we're also seeing is that there's so much room for innovation. So we'd love to hear that.
We run and maintain a park and have a number of things we used to do in the park, like yoga and exercise and stuff. We ended up doing it all through Zoom, virtually, as opposed to in the park. And actually, at one point, we had more people than we normally had when people were going to the park.
Yeah. I don't know if that would work with a hardware store, though.
Yeah, there's even internet and phone hardware stuff. It's always been a challenge, So we haven't. We're as accommodating as we can be. Certainly, we will work with people that don't want to come into the store, on the street, or over the phone, knowing they're right outside. But for the most part, I haven't noticed at either of our locations, especially our village store, which is so spacious. It's got these really, really tall ceilings and these big glass windows. And when you're in there, you don't feel as claustrophobic. So as far as that, we haven't had to innovate too much. Although, all kidding aside, I've been kicking around the idea of making, my father and my uncle, who would be like the old men, the hardware store guys, making them available by Zoom once a week for an hour, just so if people want to talk to the guys because they can't safely come back to work in any time in the near future. Pre-existing conditions, they're in an age demographic, even without it, that would be risky, but I'm certain that they've got the time. And it might be nice just to kind of offer that. I would set an iPad up here in the store for that. I need to talk to them about it. But other than that, the thing we're trying to do which isn't necessarily an innovation, but we're trying to make things as normal as possible. And I have had people say it's nice to do something that feels like a thing that I used to do before COVID, even if it's just a 10-minute, I need nuts and bolts and have a few random questions before I go like make a mess at home. And, you know, I think there's something to be said for that. I wish there was more, you know, in the virtual space for us to explore. I just don't know that it matches for the, like logistically for the kind of day-to-day client interactions we have here.
Well, if we wanted each one of you wanted to leave us with a sentence or two of maybe what you've learned and what you still need, I think that might be helpful. You don't have to. I think it might be difficult, you know, to condense, but if you could, maybe even 3 sentences. What you've learned from up to now and what you still need.
I mean, I don't know what the solution is for this, but I can tell you that I've learned that way more New Yorkers than I would have guessed are willing to up and leave. I'm shocked at the sheer numbers of people that like would have told you beforehand that they're diehard New Yorkers. I mean, I sell moving supplies nonstop the past few weeks. I am shocked and disappointed a little bit in my fellow New Yorkers. I mean, I like to get out of the city as much as the next person, but it's been really surprising. So I've learned that a lot of people that consider themselves New Yorkers and call themselves New Yorkers were not fully committed. So yeah, there's that. That's a little depressing, I know, but I'm still surprised on a day-to-day basis at how many people are just leaving. They're just packing up and they're gone. So what I think what New York needs is an enthusiasm campaign. We're not the worst place in the country to be right now. I think we need to start reminding New Yorkers that the place you are going is the next hotspot, and at least we had our act together from the beginning as much as humanly possible. Like that's the message I would want to spread around is just wait a minute, we're sorting it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Wendy.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mitch.
Oh no, along kind of the same thing is, it is an interesting seeing how different people react, and I really thought New Yorkers would be a lot more, especially because it did seem well organized from the beginning. The state, I thought Cuomo did a great job. I'm not sure it may affect the different businesses differently, but I learned a lot about people in their I guess their nature and how dealing with this has really affected them, and I didn't think that it would be as I thought we would be a lot busier right from the beginning, and we have not been as we've been okay. But I'm just saying I thought we'd be a lot busier. I thought we'd have a lot more, just a lot more business. I thought, but it is what it is, and we'll ride the wave until we can't ride it any longer. And yeah, so that's it. Learned a lot about sanitizing. Found about sanitizing. So all we do is fog and spray and that whole thing. But anyway, that's it.
The only thing I would add is that in addition to learning all sorts of new things about sanitizing and viruses, I've been so impressed by so many small businesses and just being thrown into an unimaginably challenging time, and how they've pivoted, how they've been resilient, how they, and none of which they wanted to be. So I think what I've been very impressed with, along with new sanitization processes and whatnot, I've been impressed how many have been able to also jump into what may have been some uncomfortable waters, even around just like digital tools and things like that. A lot of businesses that relied on foot traffic that just went away almost overnight, and how they had to reach customers in a new way. So, I guess my one sentence summary would be, that there are resources and trainings that are available, whether through a company like Google or whether through chambers of commerce, through small business services, of people who are experts and want to help. And so to continue to reach out, because we, one, maybe have a resource to help you now, and if we don't, we can build it. We can figure it out together. So, nothing.
I'd like to say, I certainly think more conversations like this between agency representatives and the public, small businesses, is definitely something that can, this is an unprecedented incident. This coronavirus, it's been lingering for a long time. It's having a lasting impact on small businesses and the city as a whole, on the country as a whole. And I just think that more conversations like this can only help kind of help us understand what small businesses need and how we can better help small businesses. So anytime you want to have future meetings and future discussions, be more than happy to come on, speak about more topics, talk about more solutions, talk about more programs. We have a new commissioner, Janelle Doris, and he has a vision for recovery, and which he'll be rolling out soon. And we have confidence that his vision is going to be, we're going to take our best shot in helping small businesses recover during this economy, during this time.
Thanks. Maya? Bob?
Well, I think one of the most surprising things for us in our position right now is that we're sort of desperate for enforcement and policing and guidance from city and state agencies. And we've always had, the existing rules and regulations that we know to follow, and they're good. But now we're in a position where we kind of feel like we're making it up on our own, like we follow everything that we get, but we don't get that much. So in terms of letting people into our store or employee sick policies, we feel like a lot of that is left to us, which we can do, but we'd feel a lot better if we had someone telling us exactly what steps to follow. And it's kind of the same thing with reopening and the possibility of a closure. We're going with it. We know how to operate our business. We'll figure these things out, but it would be so nice to have more guidance. It is an unusual position for us.
Guidance from city and state.
Yes.
Okay. Bob?
I would say I learned that you don't need an office. You can work from home in certain jobs. It's easy to run a bid from home. I still need my operations guys to be in the district, but I only have to drive in once a week, really. No other things to function. I never would have thought that before. And the other thing you need is that I think there could be more city coordination on things. I know the city is trying. Every Monday morning, I have a call with SBS and with DOT to go over how the weekend went with open street dining. And they are trying to address, all the problems that come up, they are trying to address it. The problem is the city's kind of driving blind in this also. They know about as much of it as we do. So it's kind of making it up as you go along. So that's part of the problem.
Good. Well, I want to thank the 6 of you, and just to let you know, you're not off the hook, because we have questions and answers coming, coordinated by Chris and Dolores for the next half an hour or so. But Jesse, would you want to say something about the poll that will be happening? Or
Sure. So we're not doing a live poll on right now. I'm going to put into the chat the link to our survey, and we'll send it out to everybody that had signed up RSVP for this event shortly, and then we'll have it on our website. But it is a very short survey, and we'd love to hear your responses and your thoughts about it. And again, like what Lowell said, was it'll give us, the board and this task force, some real insight as to where we should focus our energy. And so, yeah.
and this is a poll of people in the audience, people who are out there.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's for everybody that's attending right now. They can click on the link, or they can, like I said, we'll blast it out to everybody that RSVP'd and put it on our website as well. So it'll be open to almost everybody. But I think obviously the folks that have showed interest in this issue will have their, to be the
Thanks.
majority of the responder.
Okay, Dolores and Chris, yours.
Evening, everybody. Thank you, Bert. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Thank you, Jesse. My name is Chris LeBron. I'm an MCB4 member, and I live in Hell's Kitchen. And I will be your moderator for tonight's Q&A. We received a number of questions regarding independent small theaters while the panelists were speaking, and I'd love to direct a few of these questions over to SBS. So SBS, when you're ready, first question is, what do you think City Hall is doing right now, specifically to support small theaters, independent theaters? Eric, you're muted.
Hi, and thank you for your question. We get daily updates from City Hall regarding specific business-related issues. I have not yet heard anything specifically on theaters at this time, or small theaters. We're more than happy to circle back and get some answers for you with regards to any plans to assist the small theater district. Yeah, I'll share my information with you. If you'd like a specific answer on what's being done about that, I'd be more than happy to circle back with you and get that information for you.
Certainly, that'll help out. That question came from Caitlin Cassidy, public participant of this, and let's follow up there. So that being said, do you think, Jesse, that maybe this is something that the CB4 can take up as an action item moving forward when we meet or reconvene in September or October?
Yeah, of course. I think, you know, we have a Arts and Culture Education Committee, and that committee has focused on small theater support and in its budget, yearly budget priorities. So, and I think that the theater industry itself is obviously I believe it's phase 4. Is that correct, Eric? Yeah. Okay. So I think you know, looking forward, that's a phase that you know, we need to focus on, and obviously it's such a huge component of our district, and especially the small theater. So yes, the short answer is yes.
Excellent. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you so much. Joint question for Bob and SBS. These two come from Lori Kaplan and MCB4 member Alan Oster. First question, what resources are available in regard to storefront rent? And then the second question is, will the city be reinstating the lease negotiation resources for our small businesses? So please, Bob or Eric, by all means, whoever.
I would pass that to SBS. They would know best.
Okay, well, we had a program called the Commercial Lease Assistance Program. I think that's what they're referring to. As of late, I believe that program is on hold. Michael, can you add any context or any more information around the Commercial Lease Assistance Program?
Absolutely. Just want to share the information with respect to the commercial lease assistance program. As I stated earlier, due to the budget reframe, SBS is currently putting the commercial lease assistance on pause. Earlier, someone asked a question regarding if there are any additional resources that will be available. I have included a resources over the chat, which is the City Bar Justice Centers. So we, SBS, as of, you know, currently, we are referring business owner to refer to City Bar Justice Center as a referral source. And then in addition to that, there's another non-profit organization called Legal Aid Society, which I will also share that information momentarily in the chat. With respect to the questions coming from Chris, is that I think there is a development that OAF, which is the Office of Administrative and Trial and Hearing, is trying to do something to offer, you know, mediation between the commercial landlord and the tenant. However, this information is yet to be clarified. So once we have the updated information, I will let Eric know, and Eric will share that information with you all.
There's an August 2nd meeting on that with OAF.
Yes.
Thank you. question for Maya and Wendy. This is also coming from Lori Kaplan. It's not the Lori Kaplan show, I promise you. There are many more questions, but I just figured this would be the best synergy right now. How can our community-based businesses support and promote each other? Maya, have you had any practices with that during this crisis? And Wendy, have you seen any best examples? Maya, you're muted.
Thanks. Sorry. So we've been reaching out to all the neighborhood restaurants we can find because it seems like the perfect time to work with our neighbors, you know, and keep things in the community. And it's been great to, we've always had some restaurants that buy bread from us, but it's been great to find others and work with them so that, you know, we can help them and they can help us. We try and be friendly with all the local businesses. We've always talked about selling some of their stuff and they'd sell some of ours, but it's easier just to refer people to them because they're so close, you know?
Yeah, a couple of things that I've seen that I think are pretty great. One, I mentioned before, people creating links to things like GoFundMe's or selling gift cards or having other kinds of fundraisers. So I think just asking other people, whether they're local businesses or just other people you know in the community, to share those on their social channels just helps so much to get the word out. I think if you have a a special offer, or if you're doing something really interesting, if you are part of the Open Streets program or whatnot, again, sharing that out and asking people to share out. I think consumers right now are actually very much in a place of, I want to help small businesses. I think there's a lot of confusion as to, as we talked about tonight, about how to do that. So also reaching out to your existing customer bases, whether it's through your email lists, through your website, social media, whatever it is, to say, hey, this is what we need, or this is ways you could help, is huge. And I've seen that happen quite a few different businesses, both in New York City and across the country.
Thank you both. Following questions, there's been two questions that have come, or a number of questions that have come up regarding quality of life. So I guess this one is for our district manager, Jesse Boudin. When it comes to sanitation and shelters, do you have a moment to talk about what the district is doing?
Sure. Well, I'm sorry, and I didn't see the depth of the question. I think, where I can speak to it broadly in terms of sanitation and then the homeless shelter situation separately. Obviously, what we have contacts with the local superintendent for sanitation, so we can obviously address any particular, site issue that has to do with anything that's a city service. As probably Maya and Nathaniel and Mitch all know, and Bob as well, that commercial businesses don't get picked up by the city, and so they're usually picked up by a commercial carter, and so that's a different agency that sort of handles those issues. So we can obviously also follow up with them if needed. But we've had good history and a good history working with both of those, both the Business Integrity Commission and Department of Sanitation. So feel free to follow up with me directly about the specific issue. Listen, I think the reality is the budget cuts have taken a huge hit, out of the sanitation budget, and particularly around the basket pickups. And we're going to see that in our district alone. I think we had about 6 trucks on a rotation. We now have, it's down to 2, and so Sunday with no Sundays. And so we're going to see, those long weekends, those holiday weekends. We're going to see a lot of buildup of trash from the baskets, and we're going to have to see how we can work together in terms of either advocating for the money to be reinstated in some way, or by working with the existing programs that we have in place, like Adopt a Basket, in which a commercial establishment or landlord can take control of a basket and basically manage it themselves. They'll get the bags and things like that, or working with the Business Integrity Commission to sort of come up with some more creative ideas. In terms of the shelters, I think that is a very difficult situation, so the Department of Homeless Services was given the mandate of reducing a number of their existing shelters all over the city by nearly 50%, and having to find that relocating them, their clients to in a temporary situation. That resulted in a number of the commercial hotels being used in our district. We have our zoning has just a number of allows for hotels a lot, and so Midtown and Midtown West is just a huge amount of hotels, and so that's where they went. That in Long Island City, and so this was not done with consultation with us, obviously, and with very little notice. Meaning we were notified on Friday that they were being placed on Friday. So what we are doing now is advocating on a sort of a two-pronged approach. One is saying, okay, that was the emergency. You've done the move. It's happened. Now we have to find a way of actually being it sustainable, not only for the district, for the residents that are the residents have been there forever, and for the store owners and all of that, but for the folks that are the clients of these providers, and making sure that this is the best place for them. I mean, one of those situations we have is a 36 and 37th Street, which has nearly, I believe, 800 beds placed in it. So that's a huge impact. So we think there needs to be a reduction across the board, obviously, a safe and reasonable reduction. But at the same approach, we obviously are where we are, and we need to mitigate the current situation. So we are meeting with all of the providers. We're advocating for additional security, additional services. Obviously, anybody that placing somebody in a private closed door hotel room is not the right place for everybody. If they have issues with mental health, anything else along those lines, where that's just not a good setting for them, we are advocating for those folks to be transferred. So we have met with a number of the providers. We continue to meet with them. We continue to meet with DHS and advocate for reduction. The board has just recently voted on its second letter on this topic. And so we'll continue to work on this.
Thanks, Jesse. And I think that kind of segues naturally over to Bob. Bob, what's the bid doing right now to respond to quality of life issues?
Well, we do supplemental sanitation work, and we do have security in the park, and we're looking at, we have at present some paid detail on 9th Avenue because of the homeless issue, trying to keep them from congregating around in the canoe, the plaza that's called the Canoe, and we might expand that up between 37th and 38th Street. The paid detail only works so much. It's a presence. Cops are not allowed to engage in the homeless anymore. Even if they're paid detail, they can still only do what they could do when they're on their job. So they can't really engage unless they see an illegal activity that occurs. We're not allowed to give businesses money. We can't just give grants to businesses. It's because we're assessed money from the building. There's some legal reason why you can't. That assessed money can't go back to the business. But so we try and do a lot of marketing for them and things of that nature. For a while, we were quiet with the marketing because you didn't come out to Hell's Kitchen or come to Hudson Yards wasn't really the type of thing you wanted to be saying at the moment. So we've gone back into it gingerly so far with the reopenings, and we're working a lot on the outdoor dining stuff. It's hard. Some of the business with just someone to come out and take a picture and say that it's out of compliance. You have 24 hours to fix it, and then send them the picture, but not tell them what in the picture is wrong. So they have no idea what to fix. So then you gotta go find someone at DOT, and you gotta get people to talk. So that takes up a lot of our time also. And I would just make a comment about the sanitation. The budget is bad, but the budget that was passed in June really was only a budget to get us through the summer to the end of September, because no one knew what the receipts were going to be come July 1st as to the tax money. So no one really knew how much money the city is going to have. The whole idea was really to get us to the end of September and do a budget mod over October and vote for it in November. So just a warning, if we think things are bad now, wait to the budget month. You're really going to see cuts. They didn't see anything. We're pretty much just floating right now until we figure out how much money we have.
Thanks, Bob. That's unfortunate. And I feel like there's a lot of small businesses looking for resources very similar to the bid. And so this next question goes to our three panelists. It's a collective question from Inga Vichenko, former MCB4 member. Have you found utility, or have you begun reaching out to your local block associations and tenant associations to announce your openings? And if you have you seen any changes in your response rate as it relates to your sales numbers, your net sales numbers?
Well, we haven't reached out, but we also didn't close. So there hasn't been much that has changed in terms of reopening for us. But we talk to the block association all the time, on the block association.
I've seen you on a few of the Zooms. Yeah, actually, Maya, I actually saw one of the local publications had announced that you were open, and I had responded to them, well, no, Sullivan Street Bakery has been open this entire time. Most of the community doesn't know. So I guess that goes to the point that, like, having those resources made available, and I believe we have those contacts with our district manager. Is that right, Jesse?
Yeah.
So what's the best way Jesse, do you think small businesses should be utilizing tenant association email list and block association email list?
Well, I mean, I think, Maya is a perfect example. I mean, you just show up, right? You participate, you find out if there's a bid. I mean, if there's a block association or a significant tenant association on the block, and you attend the meetings, you show up and you say hello. I think that's always what's worked. Right. So the Chelsea is fortunate because it sort of has an umbrella organization, and the CCBA. And so folks should definitely, if and how they attend the meetings going forward, attend those meetings, and we can obviously provide those contacts if anybody needs them. Hell's Kitchen is actually slowly organizing itself as well into sort of larger group associations of block associations. So that's always helpful too. And, and maybe as Bob mentioned, and we have definitely seen with our meetings, it's a lot easier just to click on a button than have to get off your butt and go down a few blocks or jump on a subway to go to a meeting at night. So we're seeing a big, a significant increase in our public participation. And so I'm hoping we see an increase in those block association meetings as well. But obviously any particular store owner would like to have a contact for their block association, or they just don't even know if there is one. We have a running list. There's no official list. It's not something the city has or anything. We just keep it and try to keep it fresh and accurate every year. So I'm more than happy to help.
Thank you, Jesse. There was a question that came in, two questions actually, one from Greg Lynn and one from Katie Savage. I'm going to combine the two together and make this kind of an open question to all panelists. What's the benefit of forming a merchant association or a bid during this time? And then second, how can that translate into providing restaurants and other small businesses in Chelsea and Hell's Kitchen organized closed streets for outdoor dining?
I would do a merchants association, because to start a bid is going to take at least 2 years. So you won't really see the immediate effect. I mean, it's not a bad idea. I wouldn't advocate not doing it, but I'm just saying we're looking for something more immediate. a bid is a big process to put together. It's like at least 2 years. But Merchants Association, you can get up and running at a quicker manner.
In two broad strokes, how would small businesses go about doing that? Like, what's their first 2 steps?
The first 2 steps, talk to the local businesses around them to see if there's any interest. Talk to the community board, local elected officials, or even talk to an existing merchants association that formed and ask them what they did, how they did it.
Thank you. Nathaniel, is there anything like that where you're operating currently? You're muted. This is the mute show. Sorry, guys.
I'm not sure. We're not part of a merchant association. You know, like I said, we are members of the Chelsea Greenwich Village Chamber. But other than just, you know, being familiar with, you know, most of my neighbors around here, and hopefully they all know, you know, for anything, I'm available for anything I can do to help. We don't have like an official association, you know, but I do feel there's a sense of community down here on 9th Ave for sure. Especially after it was a little hectic last month. You know, everybody was doing whatever they could to help people clean up the messes and get on with biz. So.
Sure. And Mitch, you said you had a very unique circumstance where you were not seeing the foot traffic that you had anticipated once opening. What steps have you taken to begin increasing that that message that you're open and that you're providing sanitized and experience for potential clients?
Sure, yeah. So ours, I mean, we don't, the walk-in traffic, of course, it's pretty much non-existent at this point, which makes kind of sense. And all we do really is just keep in contact with our client base, emails, pictures, photographs, Instagram, like crazy Instagram on all the stuff we're doing, just to make them feel more comfortable with coming back. And you know, I think they will come back. It's just like, can we hang on there until they do come back is the issue. So yeah, that's all we can really do is just keep them informed, just more and more information, whatever we can give them, and when they're ready, hopefully they'll come back. So yeah.
So Mitch, what are your social media handles that everyone present can go and jump on?
chrischase.salon on Instagram, on Facebook.
Okay, great. And is there any way digitally for them to do appointments?
Yeah, on our website, on chrischasesalon.com. You all need to come to get your hair done.
Oh,
Chris,
man. So we're at 8 o'clock now. I think this kind of brings us to an end. Jesse, if you'd like to close.
Can I just jump in really one quick question, and before we close out, I just want to touch on the topic about the Merchants Association or being part of a chamber or something like that. We have found, and maybe Wendy can speak to this as well, because I know Wendy and I have gone around in circles sometimes trying to help out small business in our district that are affected by numerous different things. One being all of the DDC street projects that take up all of the frontage in some of the small restaurants. You know, is that it really does help, and I think it also helps with SBS services. Tell me if I'm wrong, Eric and Michael, that if a group of restaurants or a group of small businesses are part of an association that can receive funds, they can receive, it gives them a lot more access to either funds from the city directly or grants or things like that. And certainly does allow, I think, some level of help from something like Google, from Google too. So I would just say that in my experience, that is true, that if it might be a little more extra work on your guys' small business ends because you got a lot to handle, but it does, when it comes down to something like how to quickly get that access to those programs, I think it does help.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think what I would add to that is if you are a nonprofit or if you choose to create an organization or an association that's a nonprofit, that opens up some additional just resources and tools from Google that are either free or come at a reduced cost for nonprofits. All of that program is through something that's just called Google for Nonprofits. If you do a Google search for it, it'll show up. But it can be a great way to have a collective voice, and then open up some additional resources to help just kind of run the logistics of running an association or an organization. The other just quick resource that I would throw out there with regards to just kind of training and getting a better sense of how to navigate a lot of these different digital tools. We do have a program totally free called Grow with Google on Air. And those are digital trainings. So you can just do a search for Grow with Google on Air. And those are trainings on a ton of different topics. We bring in experts as well, we try to do a range of topics, mostly digital tools, but sometimes some other issues. And we're constantly thinking of new ideas. So if you have ideas for trainings you'd like to hear about, let me know and see what we can do. It also gives you the chance, once you've gone to a training, to set up time with a person one-on-one to chat through some of those issues. So a helpful resource for both small businesses, but then again, if you're an actual association, whether a merchants association or a bid, to be able to learn a little bit more about how to communicate, since we all are just living in a life where we can't rely on foot traffic anymore.
Thank you, Wendy. And I think that I want to ask everybody to give their last pitch and any shout outs to their businesses or businesses that they know and need. So let's start with Nathaniel, please.
I mean, I think all businesses are in need. I don't know anyone in particular that's worse off than anybody else. If anything, I feel fortunate that, I wasn't forced to shut down, only felt the effects of the shutdown. Same thing, all my restaurant and event clients are still putting the pieces back together, and that has an effect on our bottom line as well. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how to best close this out. I mean, I'm optimistic for the future of the city for sure. I just feel like what I think is really absent is something that we talked about earlier, which is that there's been I think there needs to be some positive messaging for New Yorkers. I haven't seen anything saying, "Hey, you're still here. Good for you. It's a good thing. Stay in New York. The people are what make New York great, And right now, the people of New York, we have less fun stuff to do, but it'll be back. And I really feel like there's an encouragement gap. That I'd love to see some just in some kind of positive attitude promotion out there for people that shouldn't be scared to go into Chris's salon. We're all aware of what's going on, where everyone's taking the precautions they need to be taking. I'm not sure how to reach people in that regard. And I would love to see, movement in that direction, kind of emotionally rewarding people for sticking it out and encouraging them to continue to stick it out and to do the best they can to patronize their local businesses. Yeah, I mean, in a few words, I guess.
Mitch?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to probably all be the same kind of stuff, but for us, I mean, just remaining local here and getting to know people around here. Some of you, I didn't know Maya. I mean, I'll have to go to the bakery. I've been in there many times. Maybe you're not there. I don't know. But Nate, I know you from across the street. First thing I want to say quickly is I want to thank you for doing this and letting me be involved in this till I actually learned a ton. I need to be more involved, I think, because our setup is a little different and we're by appointment. I don't rely so much on the I guess the community, and more. I plan on doing that. So I appreciate you guys doing that. And again, yeah, it's the walk around and getting to know people more around here that I will do more of, and through venues like this. And I appreciate you guys all being on this and letting me be a part of it. So yeah, that's it.
Maya, any last words before we close up and wrap up?
Well, I think I'd like to second Nathaniel's point about positive messaging. It really feels like New York is one of the safest places in the country right now. And I think we've done an amazing job getting here, and we don't make enough of a big deal about that. And then in terms of restaurants, because those are the small businesses that I know best, I don't know any that are not operating at a loss right now, a huge loss, and in anticipation of future losses, just in the hopes that things are going to get better. People are sticking it out. So I would just hope that if anyone is brave enough to go out to a restaurant right now, be really kind. You know, if people don't have what you're expecting, what you want, if things aren't great, just be nice, because everyone is trying so hard.
Thank you, Maya. And just a reminder for everyone participating today and everyone in the public session, there will be an email going out. I hope you do fill out the survey. We desperately want to know what's going on and want to know what's important to you. This is going to help our elected officials. This will help SBS. This will help the community board put things as priority issue items. That being said, thank you so much for coming today and spending your time with us. And we look forward to continuing the conversation. Have a good one, everybody.
Take care.
I think
Bert, do you want to close this?
Good night,
out?
everybody.
I guess we're closing out.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Maya.
Hey, thanks again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you all. And also
Good job.
on the task force. Thank the panelists, thank everyone on the task force. And just to say, reiterating what Chris said, this is a process. This is not the end. We're going to continue, and we're going to be still communicating with all of us. So we'll be in touch, and let's stay in touch and be safe.
Be safe. Stay well.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.